Hello and welcome to um, this particular webinar from The Right Journey. My name is Chris Cordell. I am the founder and owner of The Right Journey. And today I'm going to be sharing with our Community Connections group on just the aspect of helping your children who love to write stories and really kind of taking that love of writing stories and helping them to apply that to writing paragraphs and even essays. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is really what are the skills that we teach in our writing program that translate into every single type of writing, not just essay, paragraph, composition writing. So let's think for a minute. If you have those children, and they can be very young children that are just learning to write, they can also be much older children, teens that really love to write stories. They love to write maybe what we would call narratives. So what is it maybe that your children enjoy? You might think about that. I'm guessing that children that love to write stories, that they are really very imaginative people. They have quite a vivid imagination, that they love traveling to real places, but also imaginary places. Maybe fantasy is a genre that they love to read and to write. Perhaps they love developing characters. They're very maybe social people, but they just love friendships, they love family, and so they love developing characters. And sometimes there are people that their imagination really helps them to establish a setting that is very creative and very different or very vivid. Another aspect of stories is conflict. Conflicts and conflict resolution are always a part of great stories. So perhaps these children of yours that love writing stories, maybe they're kind of those deep thinkers that really imagine their characters going on adventures and facing some hardships or difficulties or conflicts, and then kind of working through those and getting to the other side, so that, of course, there's a happy resolution where everyone does live happily ever after. And those are the feel-good kind of stories that most children enjoy writing. And of course, these are the aspects of any great story, right? So children who love writing stories, probably, I'm guessing, another aspect of their personality is that they're filled with a lot of words. So not just ideas, not just imagination, but a lot of words also. So they're really excited to just sit down with a piece of paper, or maybe if they're older, their computer, and just let their imaginations wander and develop these great characters and these great settings and even conflicts and resolutions to the conflicts. And they have a lot of freedom. They have a lot of freedom in that place, right? And they have a lot of ideas and they have a lot of words, and they get to express those. And that is a wonderful thing. And that is something that we certainly want to foster. And there are oftentimes throughout our calendar year that we as a business offer the opportunity for students to really develop their creative writing skills, where they get to learn the aspects and elements of a great story, and they get to begin creating a great story and share it with other students and get some feedback on that. That's our summer classes. Typically are going to be creative writing classes. In fact, we have those coming up in July. We have some creative writing classes for the summer that will be coming up. So we do offer those throughout the year. Sometimes we're even studying a great book, and throughout the course of studying, at the end of that great book, when the students are working on an enrichment project, they may have the opportunity to write one more chapter to finish up this book, or maybe they rewrite a chapter or something along those lines that really kind of give them the opportunity to get in and do some actual writing and creating on their own, building upon the stories that they have been reading and studying. But that's another aspect of the classes, our semester-long reading and writing classes. This is what we do with students, is we study in depth great literature. So those children of yours that are aspiring novelists, They will love these classes, these reading and writing classes, where they are taking a great work of literature. Usually, oftentimes it's a classic book that we are studying, and they are really delving into that on a deeper level, and they're discussing it as they come together in class. And even their essays that they are writing have to do with some aspect of literary analysis. So we love literature. We love reading it. We love enjoying it. We love studying it. We love developing critical thinking based around these great books that we're reading. And we love it when children enjoy creating their own stories and their own little novellas, shall we say. So we definitely want to encourage that and affirm that. And yet, at the same time, we also know that when students go off to college, are they ever necessarily going to be required to write a book, a novel, a story? Probably not. Some may, but that would be very few. In their careers, are they all going to need to write stories? No, they're not. Some of them may go on to actually be able to make a living as a storyteller, and how wonderful would that be? But for the vast majority of our children, writing stories is not something that they're going to be required to do to really get through life and have the writing skills that they need. So this is why we in our classes, we really focus on what we call kind of more of a formal academic response writing. So I want to take just a minute and share with you, even when you teach your students more of an academic response writing, so that would be like a paragraph or an essay that they're going to learn to write. When you base that writing prompt off of a book or something that they are reading, there's going to be such a higher level of buy-in. If you read a great book, and then if you discuss it together and you come up with a writing prompt that is based on character, setting, conflicts, your children are going to be so much more engaged in that formal academic response writing process and that writing prompt than if it's just kind of some random assignment that they need to complete and a topic that they really don't necessarily care much of anything about or have any ideas or thoughts about. So we encourage and we enjoy and we teach in our program reading blended with writing. Now, the aspects of the writing program that we teach. So the writing program and the writing methods that we teach are the same for our youngest students all the way through our oldest students. It is a very familiar four-step writing process. And while it is familiar, it is not well mastered. And this is our goal, is to help it to become 4 steps that children, all of our students, have really mastered and that they're very comfortable and confident in. And that writing process is, like I said, very familiar. The first step is to gather quality ideas. So whether students are writing a formal academic essay or paragraph, or whether they're writing a story, brainstorming and gathering quality ideas is a great place to start. You're going to see that that's a place to start to really help to eliminate that tendency to ramble in a story or ramble in an essay or composition of a more academic nature. So we're going to begin writing, any type of writing, with gathering quality ideas and stating them concisely. The second step in our writing process is to outline ideas. So again, whether your children are writing a story or an academic response composition of some length, organizing their ideas is going to be important. So they begin with excellent ideas, but how do these ideas fit together as you're creating your characters? At what point do you introduce new characters? And as your characters are going to face some conflicts, because conflicts are what really help us to relate to our characters, right? Because real life is filled with conflicts. So the conflicts really create that rising action in a story, and it makes the characters relatable. that really shows us who these characters are and what their personalities are like. So we need to kind of organize and create that plot map, right? That plot map of what problems are going to be introduced at what stage in the story, what is going to create that rising action. So it's going to be conflicts, it's going to be actions and events. So students are going to need to think through some of these ideas and kind of organize them and create a plan, somewhat of a plot map before they write. And this is going to help them. The second thing that we teach, of course, is the rough draft, and that's just where they're going to start writing, and they might write a chapter at a time. They might like to continue they might like to write the first half of the book, but they're gonna do some initial writing, maybe the entire book. But oftentimes, and certainly if it's a narrative or a story that they're writing that they really want to give some value to, and even consider as a self-published book, then there's going to need to be a definite process of rewriting. And of course, in our writing methods, we do teach students many aspects of rewriting to create excellent quality sentences. So even great stories are going to have excellent vocabulary and excellent sentences. These are going to be sentences that use strong action verbs, and they're not filled with state of being verbs, which creates more passive writing. They're going to be filled with sentences that don't always begin with the subject, but sentences that begin with other clauses and phrases to make them more interesting. Some sentences are going to be short sentences that kind of are powerful sentences that carry a punch, and some sentences are going to be very long and flowing. So they're going to learn to vary the length of their sentences. So all of these are aspects of a great story. So when we work with students and we teach them formal academic response writing, and we do that based on literature that we are reading together, that we are studying together, that we are discussing together, then this helps students who love writing stories to become better story writers. Okay, so we're going to come up with prompts that are based on the story, and students will learn to analyze and learn to see all the aspects of characters, that ways that we can show who our characters really are and not just tell. We're going to show through their actions. We're going to show through their dialogue and conversations. So these are things that that we can take a great story, we can create great writing prompts, and maybe with your own children, as they're writing their own stories, maybe something you can do is read some of their story and begin asking them a question that would be more of a paragraph, or if they're older children, more of a multi-paragraph essay. But write a paragraph or write an essay about this character. I'm learning about this character as I read this story, but now I want you to write a paragraph, and I want you to describe this character, how this character looks, how this character feels, and what this character's personality is like. So that would be more of a formal academic essay or paragraph, but it still could be potentially based on a character that they're really engaged in, a character that they feel like they're getting to know, that they're developing. Or again, perhaps it might be the setting, perhaps it might be the conflict, or you could even ask them, as you're writing your story, I want you to tell me how you're creating literary devices as you write. These literary devices are something that we study when we study a book. So what literary devices are you weaving into your book? Do you have varied sentence lengths? Are you using complex punctuation? Are you using a lot of dialogue of the characters? Maybe you're using a lot of description. What are some of the literary devices? Maybe similes and metaphors. Those are something that your students like to write, or personification, some of those more figurative literary devices. So you could ask them a writing prompt that has to do with their story, because remember, they have a lot of buy-in when it's their own story, and they have a lot of knowledge that they can gather from their own brain as they're creating this story. You might ask them about themes, especially for older students. This would be something that would be more challenging for your young students, but older students, how are you weaving in a theme? What is a theme of your story, and how are you weaving that in throughout your book, so that your reader kind of has to read it and read between the lines to find the theme? So how do you take writing, formal academic essay writing, and really take that and blend that and pair that, partner that with those children, with the type of writing, the narrative writing that some of your children really love to do? And if you don't have those that love writing, then they get to study great writing and just write their essay prompts that are based on a novel. But stories are a beautiful, beautiful part of our lives, and stories are something that we want to read, to discuss, to study, and to write about, and sometimes even create our own stories. And learning these aspects of a great novel can really help. So I want to share with you, perhaps you've tuned in, but maybe not, to the Intro to Writing with, the Intro to the Write Journey, to learn more about our business. That's going to be available even later today. I'll be working on that webinar, or sharing that webinar. Or we do have another webinar that shares with you more about our products, but a couple that I'm going to mention is our Writing Foundations Handbook. So this does teach our writing methods. I'm just showing you the title. The other one that would really be beneficial for those blending literature with writing. And for those of you who love creating, you have your students, maybe you even as parents love creating stories, then this is going to be a great guide to help you learn how to read a book with your children, help them to just pull out all of the rich information. Because when they write stories, really to improve in their writing, is going to, you're going to help them improve in their writing as you study great literature with them. Now, that was a lot of information about writing stories and kind of making it an academic process, which it certainly can be, and we hope that it is. We are all about helping our children become better writers, whatever type of writing that they are doing. But I want to also affirm that there are times where students just need to be free to write, with no guidelines, no instruction, no correction, just a lot of affirming feedback. And of course, there are times where that is appropriate. Sometimes breaks, summer break, Christmas or holiday break is a great time. Vacations, when you want your children writing, but you're keeping everything really casual and fun. There are times throughout the year where it's very appropriate for students to journal and story write. And they don't need any specific guidelines, and they don't need any specific correction, and they don't need to rewrite unless they want to. But sometimes you can take that story that they're writing, and you can build it and create an academic opportunity that is still very fun and very engaging, where your children can get to the end of that rewritten story and see how much better it is the second time they wrote it, when they did a little bit more study and had a little bit more oversight with that. So these are some ideas I hope that will be helpful for you, and will help you to see how you can weave in and take these writing methods that we teach, and you can still incorporate some brainstorming and some organization through outlining or creating story maps, And you can do some rewriting and add stylistic elements all to any type of writing. Even research and report writing is going to require gathering of quality ideas, organization, an initial write, and then a lot of rewriting to add stylistic elements and create correct grammar. So have fun, affirm your children who love to write stories, and consider signing them up for our July summer creative writing class. I think that would be very fun for many of your students. Also consider joining our private Facebook group, so the Write Journey Facebook group, because this is a group where your children can share their stories. That's a wonderful place to create a little community of families and students who are writing their own stories and narrative and may want an audience to share it with. So please join that group if you have not already done so, and hop on to my introduction to the Write Journey and my maximizing your materials as well. So a little bit later today. Thank you for tuning in.